Okay, today we're going to cover the slope-intercept form for a line. Okay, the great thing about slope-intercept form is it's a really easy way to graph a line, and it's called slope-intercept because in the equation you can tell what the slope is and what the y-intercept will be of the equation. Okay, so we often write slope-intercept form as y equals mx plus b. The m, or whatever the coefficient of x is always going to be the slope. Okay, b, whatever the number is added or subtracted at the end, is your y-intercept. Okay, a y-intercept is an ordered pair, so when you write your y-intercept, it should be 0, comma, and then it will be whatever the b value is. Okay, so for these equations on the right, I'm just going to list what the slope and y-intercept is for each of the equations. There's no work to show. I just have to make sure it's in the correct format. Okay, so for slope-intercept form, it always starts with y equals. So if I look at this first equation, it starts with y equals. Okay, so it should be in slope-intercept form. Whatever number is in front of the x is going to be the slope. So in this case, the slope is -4. Okay, whatever number does not have the x, so in this case, the +5, that's the y-intercept form. +5 means it's a +5, and so when I write the y-intercept, I say 0, comma, +5. Okay, I'm going to do the same thing on the next one. It is in slope-intercept form because it says y equals. Y equals tells me it's in slope-intercept form. And whatever number is with the x, in this case it's 2/3, that's the slope. Okay, the number that does not have the x on it, it's a +11, so my y-intercept is 0, comma, +11. Okay, let's look at the next one. Y equals x minus 7. Okay, now the number in front of x, there's no number in front of x, but there is an x there. Since there's an x there, it really means it's a 1x. Okay, since it's 1x, then my slope is 1. My y-intercept is the number without the x, which in this case is a -7. So my y-intercept is at -7. So I would write 0, comma, -7 for the coordinates. Okay, the next equation, y equals -1/3 x minus 11/4. So whatever's with the x, in this case, it's a -1/3. Okay, the y-intercept is the number that's not touching the x, so this -11/4. So 0, comma, -11/4. Y-intercepts can be fractions too. We might not want to graph them, but it's okay that they are fractions. Okay, the next one, y equals -5/7 x. Okay, well, with the x, it has -5/7, so that's okay. Okay, now what's being added at the end of the equation? There's nothing being added. If there's nothing being added, it's like adding nothing. Nothing is 0. So my y-intercept is actually at 0, 0. There is a y-intercept. It's just going to be at 0 because that represents 0 or no value. Okay, the next equation, y equals 4 minus 2x. It says y equals, it's in slope-intercept form. It's just a little bit out of order. So the slope has to be the number with the x. In this case, it's the -2x, so the slope is -2. Okay, the y-intercept has to be the number not with x, which means it's this 4. So my y-intercept is 0, 4. And sometimes it's out of order, and that's okay. Okay, the last one, y equals -8. Okay, let's look and see what number's with the x. Well, there's no x at all. If there's no x, then the slope is 0. Okay, the number without the x is -8. So the y-intercept would be 0, comma, -8. Okay, now we're going to try to graph using slope-intercept form so we can see how having the slope and the y-intercept is enough to make a really good graph. Okay, so before I even start the graph, I'm going to identify the slope and the y-intercept. Okay, it says y equals, so it's in slope-intercept form. The number with the x, it says 2/3 x, so the slope is 2/3. 2/3 x minus 4, which means my y-intercept is 0, comma, -4. Okay, I want to make a little graph. So let me make an x and a y-axis. X, y, and do the best you can with if you have graph paper or not. Okay, I want to start by graphing the y-intercept because that tells me where to start. Okay, so the y-intercept is 0, comma, -4. 0, comma, down 4. 1, 2, 3. 0, -4 is down here. Okay, and it should be on the y-axis, so it's a good sign that it's on the y-axis. The slope is going to tell me how to get to another point on the graph. The slope is 2 over 3, and that should be the rise over the run. So from here, I want to go up 2, rise 2, run 3, and that tells me how to get to the next point on my graph. I could do it again, but 2 points is enough for a graph. So I'm going to go ahead and draw the line, make it long, and put arrows at the ends. Okay, I'm going to try the same thing for B. Before I even start, I'm going to identify the slope and the y-intercept. It says y equals negative 5/4 x plus 2. So since this is negative 5/4 x, the negative 5/4 is the slope. And since it's negative, I do want to attach the negative to the 5 or the 4, but not to both. So I'm going to give it to the 5. Okay, the y-intercept is the positive 2. So 0, comma, positive 2. Okay, let me draw my axes. Okay, to start with, I always start with my y-intercept because that tells me how to start my graph. My y-intercept is 0, comma 2. So if I go 0, comma 2, positive 2 means to go up, and it is on the y-axis, so I probably did it right. Okay, the slope's going to tell me how to get to another point. It's rise over run. So since it's a negative 5, I'm actually going to go down 5, and then I'm going to go right 4. This is telling me directions to get to other points on the line. So from my y-intercept, I'm going to go down 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, over 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And that is another good point that's on my graph. 2 points is enough. So once I have 2 points, I can go ahead and sketch my line. And it's actually a pretty accurate line. Make it long, put arrows, because the line does extend infinitely in both directions. Okay, we're going to do a few more of these to practice because this is actually very important for the rest of your math life. Okay, let's look at this one. Y equals negative 2x minus 1. It is in slope-intercept form. Let's see, with the x, I have negative 2. And then the y-intercept is the minus 1, so 0, comma, minus 1. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and start with my y-intercept. So 0, negative 1. So I'm going to go down to the 1 on the y-axis. Okay, now from my slope, I got negative 2. It should be rise over run. So even though there's no denominator, I need to put 1 there, or at least remember that it's like there's 1 there so I can know how far to run. Okay, so let's see. If my slope is negative 2 over 1, I need to rise negative 2. So I go down 2, run 1. So from my blue point, down 2, 1, 2, to the side, 1. Once I have 2 points, that's enough. If you wanted to repeat it, you could also get more points. Okay, it's a nice line. And this is actually a lot faster than having to make a table every time. Okay, for D, y equals x plus 2. It's in slope-intercept form. Let's see. Y equals, there's no number in front of the x. But there is an x, which means there's really one x. So my slope is 1. See, what's my y-intercept is positive 2. Let me go ahead and draw my axes. Okay, my y-intercept is at 0, positive 2, so I'm going to go up to the positive 2 on the y-axis. Okay, then from there, I'm going to use my slope to get another point. Let's see, my slope is 1. Since slope is rise over run, I need to make it a fraction. So I'm going to put a 1 at the bottom. That's going to tell me I'm going to rise 1, run 1. So from my 0, 2, I'm going to rise 1, run 1. And if you wanted to repeat that, you could repeat that to get some more good points on your graph. But as long as I see 2 good points in a line, I'll know that you use slope-intercept form. Okay, 2 more because they're a little trickier. Okay, let's look. Y equals negative 2/5 x. Let's see. Negative 2/5 x tells me the slope is negative 2/5. Okay, what's added to the end? There's no number at the end. Since there's no number at the end, my y-intercept is 0, 0. If there's nothing there, nothing is 0. Okay, so my y-intercept's at 0, 0 at the origin. Okay, from there, I want to do my slope is negative 2/5. I gave the negative to the 2, which means I'm going to go down 2 and right 5. So from here, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, once I have 2 points, that is enough to get a good line. Okay, last one. Last one's a little bit of a trick. Okay, it says y equals 3. Okay, so there's no x at all. Because there's no x in the equation at all, my slope is 0. Okay, there is a number though. It's 3, so my y-intercept is 0, 3. Okay, let's see, my y-intercept is at positive 3, so let me go up to the 3 on the y-axis. My slope is 0, which seems weird, but I also need to put it over 1. Okay, so I'm going to go up 0 and to the side 1. So if I go up 0 to the side 1, I go over to the side. Okay, I'm going to draw my line. Okay. Now if I look at my line, it has no hill, no positive, no negative, which is why the slope is 0. So if I had known that because the slope is 0 it would be a flat line, I could have also just gone straight away and drawn my line going straight through the y equals 3.